super. Actually, I cannot co-host yet. I hear an echo. Could you please open hear the echo?
There's a lot of feedback.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is good now. Thank you. All right, so let's start with prayers. And admit guests. Jaya Radhamadhavai Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavara Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari. And because it's very fitting for today's class, I will read the translation. Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavana. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Raj, the holder of the great hill named Govardhan, the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the delighter of the inhabitants of Raj, and he wanders in the forests along the banks of the river Yamuna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtutya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right. Before I even start reading, because reading has also potency and carries energy of how we transmit, even to just reading, I would like to beg for the blessings of all the gathered Vaishnavas. And I also particularly want to ask for your patience and tolerance with me, and especially would like to ask for blessings from senior devotees who have walked so many years and decades on the path already and are truly our guides, and yeah, this hope that the process is truly working, and it's so divine and beautiful. Yes, so let's start reading. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 29, and verse 39. I will share the screen. and support my eyes. Viksyalakavritamukam tava kundalashmi Gandhasthalatharasudam hasitavalokam Datavya Hayam cha pujadanda yugam vilokya Pakshakshiyarika ramanam cha bhavam madasaya dasya. So here are the synonyms. Viksya, seeing. Alaka, by your hair. Avrita, covered. Mukham, face. This word will come up later. Tava, your. Kundala, of your earrings. Shri, with the beauty. Gandhasthala, having the cheeks. Athara, of your lips. Sutham, and the nectar. Hasita, smiling. Avalokam, with glances. Data, bestowing. Abhayam, fearlessness. Cha, and. Pujadanda, of your mighty arms. Yugam, the pair. Vilokya, glancing upon. Vakshaha, your chest. Shri, of the goddess of fortune. Eka, the only. Ramanam, source of pleasure. Cha, and. Havama, we must become. Dasyaha, your maidservants. It's already beautiful how the verse is coming together to translation. So this is the translation by exalted disciples of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: seeing your face encircled by curling locks of hair, your cheeks beautified by earrings, your lips full of nectar, and your smiling glance, and also seeing your two imposing arms, which take away our fear, and your chest, which is the only source of pleasure for the goddess of fortune. We must become your maidservants. So these are gopis speaking to Lord Sri Krishna. Purport. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur envisions the gopis' dealings with Krishna as follows. Krishna says, "You want to become my servants, so do I have to buy you with some payment, or are you giving yourself freely?" The gopis reply, "Since the beginning of our youthful womanhood, you have been purchasing us with a payment millions and millions of times more than enough. That payment is your gem-like smiling glance, which constitutes a great treasure we have never heard about or seen anywhere else. When you put your golden turban on your head, your maidservant will act as your valet, pulling up the turban bit by bit until it is in just the right position. And even while you shake a chastising finger at her, trying hard to prohibit her, she will put her hand beneath your turban and take the opportunity to glance at your face. Thus we, your maidservants, will relish with our eyes your abundant sweetness." Krishna says, your husbands will not tolerate this behavior of ours. They will complain bitterly to King Kamsa, thus producing a fearful situation for me and for you as well. The gopis say, "But Krishna, your two mighty arms make us fearless, just as they did when you held up Govardhan Hill to protect us from the pride of Mahendra. Those arms will certainly kill that beast Kamsa. And the Lord replies, but being a religious person, I cannot make other wives my maidservants. And they reply, O dear crest jewel of religious personalities, you may say that you refuse to make the cowherd wives your maidservants, but by force you have already taken Lakshmi, the wife of Narayana, from Vaikuntha and are carrying her around on your chest. Out of shame, she has assumed the form of a golden lion on your chest, and she takes her only pleasure there. Besides, within all the 14 worlds, and even above these worlds, in Vaikuntha Loka, beyond this universe, you never reject any beautiful woman, no matter who she is or whom she belongs to. We know this quite well. Jai. This is a very exalted verse. I'll stop sharing here. And because of that, I want to start with a little pastime from Prabhupada's Nectar, because I'm feeling, as always, unqualified, but here it's like very heightened and intense. So in this pastime speaks about doing our best, which I'm trying to do right now, and trusting that Krishna will really provide the rest, and the devotees are very merciful, and they also have the power to correct and see the good in others. So this is from the letter of June 3rd from 1975. There are many examples in history of persons who have been very much disabled physically, but who still have executed Krishna consciousness. Still up to date in places like Vrindavana, India, there are many persons who are blind, crippled, lame, deformed, etc. But they are determined to practice Krishna consciousness to their best ability. Simply be determined to practice the process of Bhakti Yoga with whatever abilities you have. And if you are really sincere, then Krishna will give you help. If you require any medical help, you take as much as needed. And so I feel that ignorance is the greatest disease, and that's also how our acharyas describe it. And I am very ignorant, and so this is my prayer. I will read more from Srila Prabhupada today as well. But starting from the commentary, again, one of our beloved acharyas is quoted and brought back to give us instructions and to offer his visions. And so even in the purport, the very first line is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and visions. And I really felt that the word envision is a very beautiful and specific word for this occasion. And because essentially it means that he's offering his inner realizations and experiences, since a pure devotee has access to the Lord's pastimes. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is relishing hearing about the Lord's dealings with the gopis and truly experiencing them and having the entrance into them through the purity of his own heart and the perfection of his own sadhana. And so in that way, through the mercy of our teachers, we are also given access to these pastimes because they're offering their vision to us. So that's an incredible mercy from our teachers. And so this part of Bhagavatam is extremely beautiful because it really speaks so strongly about Vrindavana, which is which is our goal. So it really allows us to reconnect of like, where is actually where we are going? Like where is the mood that we are trying to cultivate? And Vrindavana is filled with color, of many flowers, bees, trees, fruits, and birds. And I wanted to actually bring what I learned recently about how parrots play a role in pastimes like this, specifically actually for the Rasadans. And so they have a very beautiful service of us as every personality in the spiritual world, of really wanting to enhance the relationship or the pleasure that comes from the relationship and pastimes between Radha and Krishna. And actually every single gopi has a parrot, which is of course her servant, but a friend and an exalted personality. And so that parrot, female parrots for the gopis and male parrots for the gopas, they deliver messages. And so specifically before the night comes, there's the whole network of parrots that deliver the message to each gopi about what is going to be the mood for the Rasadans, and even what colors of clothes they are requested to wear for that specific night. And I've heard from Indradyumna Maharaj about this beautiful parrot servant of Krishna, whose name is Vichakshana. And so Vichakshana actually changes colors. His feathers change colors, and so when he is with Krishna, his feathers are actually golden, so that he reminds the Lord about his beloved Srimati Radharani. And then when he flies to actually deliver a secret message to Radha, he takes a green color, because that's quite a common color for a parrot, and because this is such a confidential message, he essentially takes tries to hide that and be more underground, I would say. And then when he reaches Srimati Radharani with his message, he changes his color to red, because the red is considered to be the universal color of love. And so a parrot is a symbol of a well-trained servant who repeats what they hear, and are also well trained in assessing what is the proper time, proper mood of the message, and being very accurate and not changing anything. And so this is also our service, to repeat the message of the acharyas, like well-trained parrots who simply want to contribute to the unfolding pastimes in which we are able to serve. And there's so much sweetness in those pastimes, and there is a beautiful bhajan and a poem where the Lord is described in that encapsulation of all attractive and complete sweetness. And the poem is by Shripad Balapacharya, and I just want to read a single line, just because it's actually so tied closely to the verse. And it's called Madhurastakam. Adaram Maduram Vadanam Maduram Nayanam Maduram Asitam Maduram Hridayam Maduram Ramanam Maduram Maduram Padesh Akila Maduram. And the translation is, this is the first verse of this beautiful prayer. His lips are sweet, his face is sweet, his eyes are sweet, his smile is sweet, his loving heart is sweet, his gait or walk is sweet. Everything is completely sweet about the Lord of all sweetness. And I feel that this is like also the mood of this exchange. And even in this verse and the commentary, it's really clearly shown that the gopis know very well that everything belongs to the Lord, and that he is bringing the highest pleasure to them also and to every single living entity. And they are exhibiting their highest perfection in the service to him, that they are not expecting any payment in return, as the closeness with the Lord is the reward in itself. And again, that showcases their selflessness, that they actually see that the pleasure of Krishna is my pleasure. And whatever happens, or whatever the so-called price for this service is, or whatever I'm asked to do as an austerity or to give up, because if it's going to bring pleasure to Lord Krishna, and if it's going to serve him, I'm going to do it, and there is no other way. And then the gopis also speak about the complete trust, like they're revealing the complete trust that they will be protected, and show us that what is needed and asked is to simply remain in the loving service of the Lord, to simply continue devotional service, and that is our protection. And with that, I wanted to bring the pastime of Srila Prabhupada also, who speaks about the protection and offers that vision of a pure servant of the Lord. So so this is a part of a pastime. It was from January 1974. The anti-cold crusade in America was only beginning its campaign during Srila Prabhupada's very last years. But Prabhupada gave good advice how the devotees could combat it and how they could realize they were protected by Krishna. Rameshwar Swami was once explaining to Srila Prabhupada about these activities during a visit with Prabhupada in India. We are actually getting much free exposure on the radio and television, said Rameshwar Swami, and each time we come off sounding very intelligent, religious, and nice, and the deprogrammers come off sounding like fanatics and bigots. So people are getting a good impression of us because of the publicity on radio and television. Yes, said Prabhupada. Just like Sita was put into the fire and she came out unburned. Sita was blasphemed, they said. This woman was kidnapped by Ravana and Ramachandra is so henpecked that he has again picked her up and is living with her. So Ramachandra put her in the fire and she came out unharmed. And so this is our goal, not to jump into the fire, but to trust that when we have complete surrender to the Lord and really remain faithful and continue our services, no matter what happens, we are going to be protected. And His Holiness Radhanath Swami speaks about faith and chastity as come high water or hell, I'm going to do what I need to do and what I vowed to do. And so no matter what happens, I'm not going to do what I'm not supposed to do, even if I really would like to do it. And I'm going to continue what I am supposed to do or I'm asked to do, even if I really don't want to do it. Another thing that comes from this verse and the purport is that Krishna unifies all conflicts, and he is here presented or presents himself as a head of religious principles, and also the one who accepts already married women as his maidservants, which may be seen as controversial. But actually these contradictions merge together. especially because it is organized and arranged to increase the love between the Lord and the gopis. And so they are mentioning fear, that there will be even a tinge of fear, both on the side of the Lord and experienced by the gopis, because clearly them dancing with the Lord will displease their husbands. And not only that, they will be disowned by their husbands, which is a very big risk that they are already taking with a leaping heart of joy. But it also shows, like, again, this is happening to increase the loving moods and to really saturate them with feelings, because that's also where the service becomes pleasing, that it's not only external actions, it's actually the actions which are saturated with the intention to please the Lord and the loving devotion. And it also brings that the Vrindavan mood, in Vrindavan love is in the details, which we are fortunately given access to. There is a mention of a touch that adjusts the turban of the Lord, and the moment of the glance exchange that happens when a maidservant is adjusting the turban of the Lord. And that single moment is so important that we are actually offered it further to discuss it and to read it and to hold on to it, because what is pointed out to us by the acharyas, every single word, every single image is extremely important for us to really meditate upon. And so this is our meditation. And I also thought about how wonderful it is that actually all of this is encapsulated in the holy name, and we have access to the holy name at all times. Like, we can call upon the name of Krishna and Radha together at any time and truly connect in this very deep way with them through chanting the holy names. And also, we can come before the altar, like before the altar of Radha Muridhar and Gaurachandra and Narsimha Bhagavan. And every day of chanting and every moment is like a conversation with them. And it happens in a specific environment, both externally because energies shift, but also in the heart and mind. Like, every moment is to some extent a shifting environment, because it all moves. And we are so fortunate because here the gopis are to some extent lamenting and separation, but also through the love that they need to hold on to this moment of a potential of adjusting the turban of the Lord and catch that loving glance. And we are able to come before Radha Muridhar and just be in front of them for hours if we choose. And the deity of the Lord is non-different from the Lord. And we also just need to develop that vision, which will come hopefully with time when we continue to practice our sadhana and do our services. But it also reminds me of the principle of being seen, because I don't want to state that without clarifying this also, because coming before the Lord is actually not to see him. First of all, we are not really able to see Krishna. At least I'm not able to see Krishna in the deity form, or at all, because of my level of inadvancement. But still, there is a principle of being seen, which means that we come before the altar and we just pray, like, this is who I am, and I would like to offer myself to you, Krishna, as I am right now. And please kindly look at me, if you would like. And also, if you would like, please gift me the transcendental vision so I also may see you. And yeah, and with that, I want to read a short pastime of Srila Prabhupada. knowing exactly how Krishna looks like, which is again very hope-giving, because it shows us that we are following our beloved grandfather, and he is able to guide us there to one day be able to see the Lord through his transcendental vision. So once Srila Prabhupada held a preaching program at the Partha Sarthi temple in Madras. In that temple, there is a murti of Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The murti wears a little mustache, which is unusual. After the program, Srila Prabhupada went to the home of a Mr. Maheswari, who asked Prabhupada how it was that Krishna was wearing a mustache. Prabhupada explained that this was bogus. He said that Krishna is Nava Yauvanam, ever youthful, and never has a mustache. Then Prabhupada took his finger and began very gently touching the area above his lip. He began searching for a word to describe Krishna's upper lip. One of his disciples said, "Like a peach fuzz, Prabhupada?" indicating the very soft hair that grows on a young boy's lip as he reaches puberty. Prabhupada said, "Yes," which is a very sweet exchange. And through that, I feel like we can completely trust in Srila Prabhupada and his guidance and his mercy. And with that, I would like to open for reflections, corrections, comments, questions. And thank you for your patience with me and for hearing thus far. So I'm ready to receive you. Krishna Daya Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. It's very detailed class. You said about the importance of details. Just one small question, in the last part of the class, you said that there is a tinge of fear both in Krishna and gopis. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you said Krishna, the thing is, he's worried that, gopis have, they took a very big risk of, leaving their families, and then they came all the way to midnight. So Krishna, but what about the gopis? What is the tinge of fear in gopis?
Yeah. As far as I understood from the verse, I will just go back to it. My glasses again. Yes. So here it says, Krishna says, "Your husbands will not tolerate this behavior of ours. They will complain bitterly to King Kamsa, thus producing a fearful situation for me and for you as well." And so what I'm understanding from that is perhaps there is the fear coming from a possibility of, well, first of all, engaging with this uncomfortable situation of, first of all, the pastime being stopped or interrupted, and also that Krishna would have to engage with the King Kamsa. And I feel that then it would be, well, first of all, of course, he's not afraid, but that there would be some chivalry exhibited in that dealing between King Kamsa, who would be most likely very angry and going against Krishna, and Krishna having to defend himself, and the gopis being scared for Lord Krishna in this whole situation, because they are not scared of their husbands leaving them, because they fully believe in the shelter of Krishna. So in a way, this is also my speculation, as I didn't particularly hear this part of the commentary explained, I am imagining, and I would like to be corrected about it, is that just like in other pastimes, like for example, Krishna dancing on the hoods of Kaliya, and the gopis being extremely scared of what's going to happen, and them exhibiting, the intense love, but also that sense of fear for the Lord. I feel like that could be similar here.
Thank you, Prabhu. That makes sense. So gopis are thinking about Lord, so they fear for the Lord.
Yes.
That is really great. Thank you. Thank you so much for the explanation.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Any other? Thank you so much, Jeffrey Ackler Prabhu. Adi Purusha Prabhu, did you have your hand up? Yes, I'll unmute you.
Hi, Krishna. Can you hear me okay? A wonderful class, gosh. It's such a tender and delicate and esoteric subject matter, this affection, the affectionate, sweet, innocent, loving exchanges between Krishna and the gopis. And yesterday, Bhima and I were talking about a book we were required to read in high school. Maybe you had to read J.D. Salinger. You ever hear that? The Catcher in the Rye? Yeah, and there's a character whose name is Holden Caulfield, and he's a young boy. And the story is about how he goes from looking at some of his schoolmates to some of the adults, and he begins to become aware that people are phony, and he's very discouraged that people are selfish and phony, and it's very painful. And he's even thinking of how these phony people who are supposed to be setting an example in their character, they might mislead younger children because they really don't have love. So the material world is a place full of phonies, quarrel and hypocrisy and Kali Yuga, that we don't actually, even the people that pretend to love you, even a mother and child or your husband and wife, that there's something tainted there, some bit of very obvious or very subtle selfishness that is very distasteful and discouraging. But these pastimes, it says one who understands the transcendental nature of Krishna's pastimes and activities doesn't have to go to this material world again, that there's another quality of life, and that's where we really belong, and that's where we'll be satisfied, and it has to do with pure love, completely unselfish. And so Prabhupada gives the analogy of the spider. He makes this web. We're all entangled in this world because of our selfishness, and the spider's web is so powerful that if an insect just touches it, they get stuck, right? And they can't get loose, and then the spider comes and wraps them up and devours them and sucks out their bodily fluids, eats them, And so the material world is like that. We're trapped in due to our own selfishness. But the spider who formed the web, just like Krishna who forms this world, he can go all over the web and not get touched, not get trapped, right? So Krishna is transcendental. He is exhibiting pure love, nothing but pure, sweet care for us, and calling us out of our strange, selfish motivation for bodily pleasure to a platform of wanting to give and experiencing what it's like to actually love and be loved. So, your good heart, even the quality of your voice, these pastimes, we actually speak of them in whispers, that they're so sublime and beyond the experience we have in this world. But we have to hear them and have confidence that, that love between Radha and Krishna exists, that love between Krishna and the devotees exists, that we can progress in that direction and we can get there by the grace of our spiritual master. I don't know, that was a little bit of a rambling share, but to going from being a phony and being a selfish person, even when we're pretending to love someone, to actually being our normal, healthy condition of a loving being and have pure love for someone by Krishna's grace. Anyway, all glories to Prabhupada. I got a little lost there. Maybe there was some shred of wisdom, but thank you, Prabhupada.
There is.
All glories to Prabhupada.
Yeah, actually, what you shared about like us experiencing some form of love, but of course it's so limited. It reminded me of what I heard from my Gurudev, who spoke about how like actually our true friends are Krishna and Guru and nobody else. Not for it to be cold-hearted and to say like nobody is your friend, because devotees of course are our friends and well-wishers, and we have different relationships in this world and how we exist. But it's more about the capacity, how if we look at love based on sacrifice, the highest love expresses itself in the highest sacrifices. And so in that way, Srila Prabhupada took an extreme sacrifice to come from India on Jaladuta to do everything to pass the scriptures or the commentaries that we are having right now. And he has done it out of love. And truly, it's like there would not be anybody else who would be able to do that in such capacity. And in the same way, the spiritual master commits to the relationship with the disciple and never is going to leave a disciple. And that also shows that true friendship. And so in that way, it really shows that these are our shelters. And of course, we can have other relationships where there is actually the flow of that mercy just down towards us, which is also what happens. The mercy just trickles down through the pure devotees and those who are truly vessels of service and love. And again, the reminder of not being entangled in the illusion, and actually really wanting to go into not only wanting but acting and working towards reaching that pure love and trusting that it exists and that we would be able to get there eventually. So thank you so much. And yes, I would like to hear from Bhima Prabhu if he is available now. But he also has his hand raised. But thank you so much, Adi Purusha Prabhu, for those comments. They are so valuable to me.
Haribo Prabhuji, that was a wonderful class. I concur with Adi that the way in which you speak about these pastimes, it's lovely. It's lovely. It takes a certain amount of gentleness to really manifest the mood of Vrindavan. And you said a couple things that were very striking, which was in Vrindavan, love is in the details. And that struck me in the sense that, first of all, we come to understand that the slightest detail, as you mentioned, that pause. Can I be heard, by the way? Is everything okay?
Yeah, heard.
Okay. All right. That pause that the gopis take with their hands upon the edge of the turban to adjust the curl of Krishna's hair, that moment that is taken, that these are the details. These are the little things that help us. Now, these are things that the gopis do with Krishna, but with ourselves, as you said, when we get a chance to either dress the deities or even place our fingers upon the beads when we chant japa, that moment of surrender, to grab that moment when we're saying Krishna's name, that we're not simply hustling through the syllables, but that we're actually taking that moment to fully surrender, to abandon the thoughts in our mind and the cares and the concerns of the day, anything that we might be holding on to, any grudges, any non-forgiveness, that to get to that moment where we clear out the ahankara, our false sense of being in this world, and taking that moment at the edge of Krishna's turban to understand that we're with Krishna at all times, and that we can remember that because the love is in the details, that we should understand that it was not only the gopis, but there was those who helped the gopis, the manjaris, and that we ourselves have that present. We hear every day, everybody says we have to do things to please Krishna. We have to do what pleases Krishna. And I often myself find myself saying, what does God need with anything I have to give? And what can I do to please Krishna? Krishna's got everything, so I'm just going to pay attention to me. That's the default into this world. Krishna's got everything. I've got needs and wants. I'm just going to take care of those needs and wants and stuff like that. So, but ultimately, we can answer that with the fact that we can also sort of emulate the manjaris, and that is we can please the devotees. We can find devotees that need help in their service. We can find devotees that need to be heard, to simply listen to whatever problems that they're facing, and just listen and be there for them. And that is the way in which we can, express that love and service in the details, those moments, those, as you said, shifting moments. And I'd just like to appreciate that what you spoke about reminded me of these things, that it is the little things that we do with great love rather than the big things that we do with a lack of love that Krishna is impressed with. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yes, and it's beautiful that the Lord is so kind, that even though he doesn't need anything, he still gives us unlimited opportunities to serve. And it's like it's our loss if we don't take those opportunities. He's forever he's ever complete. It's not like he's ever taken away from, even if we are not offering anything. And yet it's for our possibility to reciprocate with his love that we are able to serve the Vaishnavas in those details and through every single action. And we can also see it in like perfected personalities, how if we see like a Swami, like I'm of course thinking about our spiritual master, it's like even envisioning, or Prabhupada was described like how the way he drank was perfect, or the way he just had a single glance to indicate that he wanted a shift in anything. Like that was that perfection in the details, and it really truly is that when we advance, like it just is so saturated that the details become like the highest and the deepest expressions of love, and that's a beautiful goal and direction to have. And I was also thinking about Vrindavan, how Krishna and Radharani have a very specific relationship with swans, and when Jatila is actually trying to look where Radharani is, because as her mother-in-law, she's always trying to make sure that Radharani is not going close to Krishna. She actually can even find where Radharani is by the orientation of the swans, because the swans are so attracted to the ankle bell sound of Radharani that they are always going to swim towards her. And so all these things, it's like we can see we have opportunity to see the presence of those pastimes as well, and connect with the details which are so supercharged. I want to say before I forget that tomorrow is a very special occasion, as tomorrow is our dear Andrea's initiation, or a celebration of a second birth, and for that to be kept in our hearts and minds, so that we can also send blessings towards her tomorrow. I myself am actually flying to Florida to witness our dear sister's milestone in her spiritual life. And now she's hearing from her spiritual master. And so, yeah, I want to add that because I feel that my class would be incomplete without acknowledging it. And because it's also a community, and I feel like it would be lovely if we can, have intentions of supporting her in her service also to her spiritual master and on her spiritual path, and rejoice in this important step, because it means that her and whoever is also going to take initiation at the same time with her, it means that there are more devotees who are officially, I would say, indicating their surrender to the Lord and to their path of devotional service. And because we are all dependent on each other, it ultimately means that we are actually blessed with advancing spiritually just because of being connected with somebody who is also advancing. And so that's our fortune. And Radha Muralidhar is here. Jai Radha Muralidhar, Jai Gaurachandra, and Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you so much for hearing me. And
thank you, Ananda Manjari. Beautiful class.
Govinda, Hare Krishna, Bhajami, Govinda, Hare Krishna, Bhajami.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you, Amrita Kishori Didi, for the wonderful darshan. Yeah, Ananda Manjari, what a wonderful class. It's so refreshing to hear that the spiritual world has variegatedness, has relationships. It's not just a tunnel or a light or a cloud. It's a place where everybody has a parrot. We have dumb phones where we send messages. There they have parrots. The spiritual world has everything that we have down here, but it's selfless, it's eternal, it's not going anywhere, joyful, full of service. Thank you, Ananda Manjari.
Thank you so much.
Say hi to Andrea, say Haribol to Andrea. We're all blessing her. Devotees run on blessings. That's our fuel. So let's all bless Andrea. What do you think her name will be? Draupadi Dasi. It's a heavy name. It's a tall order. It's like I know a devotee whose name is Maharaj Parikshit Das. You know, that's a cool name, Parikshit. That's also a very tall order to live up to that kind of name. So yeah, I'm really curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that it's going to be definitely a name that comes from a lot of love from our spiritual master.
Yeah.
We can definitely see a lot of qualities of patience and tolerance, and I think all that she has gone through in her spiritual life. And so,
Yeah.
perhaps that's
Andrea is a real deal. She's not faking it. She's living it.
Yeah.
Krishna consciousness is not just theory for her. She really applies those things in life. You can tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
We
you.
see William Cheska. Cheska is taking William to his summer school, right, William? Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I just wanted to mention, my question was answered uh, uh, partly with Adi Purush Prabhu and partly with Bhima Prabhu. But I just wanted to thank Ananda Manjari Didi. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful class. And I felt the love from the beginning. I was moved to tears, and I had to get away from the camera because I was like, when you start giving class. Anyway, I'm gonna stop there. When they mentioned when Adi Purush Prabhu mentioned the catcher in the rye, wow, I was like, wow, I'm that old. I remember that. I was in English class. It was one of my majors, English, and we did a play for the catcher in the rye. Amazing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's a wonderful book, Catcher in the Rye. It shows that, again, we can find the greatest service in this smallest detail. You know, and that we all have this wanting that ultimately we are meant to do, and how we can serve. So, and Srila Prabhupada said that spiritual world flows with tears, and these are the tears of devotion and love. And so it's okay to cry, more than okay, in Bhagavatam class. Thank you. Unless there are any other questions, I think we can conclude here.
Okay, I see none. Okay, no tears. No questions, no tears. Okay, let's try again tomorrow. We want everyone
I'm
to.
crying.
You're crying. Bhima is crying. Yeah.
I'm crying because I'm
believe-
crying because I'm between hell and high water. She was mentioning. She was mentioning hell and high water, and I realized I was somewhere in between in the shallows.
Okay. Okay. All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Tomorrow is a very auspicious day. It's the beginning of the Purushottam month. That's the month that is very dear to Krishna. Krishna is personally taking care of that month. So let's take inspiration from there, from that month, and get it all together finally, for once. All right. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.